Are we on? Oh my goodness. You know, we got back very late last night from Vancouver, and whatever could have possibly gone wrong this morning has gone wrong. So we're just going to have to deal with it.
We're having fun today.
We are. We just got back from VRIC, and I absolutely love, oh my goodness, and even on this one,
yeah, even the phones are melting for us today.
The phones are melting
VRIC
for
was
us.
absolutely amazing, wasn't it?
Yes, it really was. It was a lot of fun seeing old friends, meeting some new friends, meeting with Jeremy over at Kitco.
Oh,
so
yes.
stay tuned for that interview. That was really, really good, as well as my good friend Kai Hoffman and
Jesse Day.
Jesse Day.
Charlotte.
Charlotte McLeod.
Oh, yeah.
And also, JP Cortez.
Oh, JP
Sound
Cortez.
Money.
Absolutely.
So among many, many others, it was wonderful. So today we're just going to be winging it, kind of, but I wanted to talk to you about bubbles, because now that President Trump is in, I do believe that he has signed an unprecedented amount of executive orders in very quick time, more than any other president. And not only that, but what's more than likely to happen, and we're already seeing it, is the melt up in full gear, creating all sorts of bubbles, which... let's just have this money just float all the way around. Look at, we're all rich. We're all rich. I'm a trillionaire. But what I want you guys to really understand is that there is no good alternative for hard work. Yeah, bubbles are easy until they pop, and then they can make your life very, very hard. So you want to make sure that you are properly diversified. President Trump says that we have now entered the golden age of America. And isn't it interesting? He didn't say we have now entered the crypto phase of America, though that is definitely what's going to go up and has. Late Friday, 12 hours later, it's up 16,000%, 2 billion. Just hours after Gary Gensler left the SEC headquarters for the last time of his life, President Trump showed the world what an outsized role crypto and certainly meme coins will have in his administration. After nearly a year of frenzied speculation, which of the dozens of Trump-linked meme coins the 47th president will pick as his own, just before 10 p.m. on Friday night, and just 2 days before his inauguration as the 47th president of the United States, Trump stunned the world when he unveiled on his Truth Social and X accounts his official meme coin Trump. Okay, well, you got to think about utility, okay? What utility do these have? Creating FOMO, fear of missing out, 100%. So whatever you're going to do, you've got to do what you're comfortable with. I can't tell you what to do other than make sure that you are properly diversified, and then it doesn't matter. Get prepared. You want your sound money portfolio, physical gold, physical silver and gold in a variety of kinds of gold and silver based upon what it is you're trying to accomplish. But let's just read the newspaper and see what's in there. This is from today. In wave of moves, Trump opens push to remake the nation, pardoning of rioters, a border crackdown, and many other things. He wants to unleash energy, but not if it's wind or solar. So things are reversing, and his choice is to undo much of what President Biden has done. And I'm not placing judgment on any of it. This is what we have to deal with. So it's more about awareness. There are a number of people that are choosing to go in this meme and this bubble direction, and then pulling their gains and positioning into gold and silver. That's not a horrible strategy, but you better make sure that you already have that in place to back whatever it is that you are positioning into. That's all that I am saying. I also have to tell you that I am not going to be participating in these bubbles because it is hard for me to support a lie. That's about my integrity. And I can't do that and then come on air and tell you, gold and silver. I have a tendency to like to lead by what I do, by example. And so if ever, I promise you guys this, because there will come a time when I will purchase and convert into a cryptocurrency, because to be honest with you, I can see where a truly gold-backed cryptocurrency that is convertible into the gold and used as a tool of transaction and a tool of barter, I can see where that can fit inside of the sound money strategy. But I'm not a speculator. That is not my thing. I want to make sure that I have security in food, water, energy, security itself, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Never, ever, ever has it been more important than it is today to come into community. And I really haven't even looked. So let's kind of take a look at what's been going on, because I've been a little bit busy. A struggle to stay independent. The owners of Honor Family Market are ready to retire, but a buyer would have to handle the tight margins of a small business and compete against the giant chains and discount stores. It should be pretty obvious. I mean, look, the revolving door between corporate America and Washington has been going on forever. At least I could say this, at least now it's out in the open and there's no question about that revolving door or the influence that these large corporations will have on this administration. No doubt. So yeah, be prepared. Get into position, come together in local community, right? Go to a local community garden. And I was talking to this woman in Vancouver, and she lives in the city, right? So all she has is a condo. She says, I have no land. I said, well, is there a community garden? And she said, well, yes, there is. And my name has been on it for 4 years. I still have another 2 before I get my plot. So I said to her, do they accept volunteers? And she said, well, yes, they do. I said, well, then go down and volunteer your labor. You're going to learn a whole lot of skills, and you're going to start to build that local community and have, at the minimum, the ability to secure your food. Because now what are you doing down in the community gardens where you're helping others maintain their plots, and you're creating those friendships and that community and that level of trust? So this is critically important. Let's see, is there anything else, in here that just kind of pops out? Tariffs in Canada and Mexico would end up U.S. car makers. Yeah, I'm sure. It's going to be interesting to see if DOGE, that's intended to shrink government, will actually be able to do that. I hope so. I think big government has really grown enormously. I think it's going to be challenging, to say the least, to shrink it. And Wall Street kicks off Trump's second term with gains, of course, because it's risk on, baby, and it's drill, baby, drill. None of which I really have, everybody's got to do what is in their heart to do. All I'm saying is it has never been more important to come into this new year with a new, well, this would be true no matter who was in there, with a new president and the new policies that are yet they're not completely unknown, because certainly he's been quite vocal with some. And, and I could say that there were things that I saw that I absolutely agreed with in his first term, and I'm sure that there will be things that I agree with in the second term, but it doesn't really matter what I think, because I am prepared. So let's go ahead and take some questions. We're just going to jump into the questions. Okie doke. Oh, good. I love questions. I really do. I had such a good time at VRIC.
Oh my
talking
gosh,
to
it was so
people,
nice.
and yeah, so nice.
Yeah, you get to really connect with the community there. You know, I really love that. I really do love that a lot. And if anyone's watching, you know, hey, thank you for coming up to us and saying
Yep.
hi. And
Yep.
we greatly appreciate you guys and your support. Really.
Yeah,
We really
I
do.
definitely had a number of people that do watch the live. So this is for you. Hi, guys. It was
Hey,
great
hey.
to meet you. That did come up and say, I saw you on the live and you said to come and say hello. So I did. Thank you very much. It was great seeing you. And I hope I see you and other people at the other events that we have coming up. So David Martinez asks, if we buy precious metals and we hit a recession, won't they just collect it all as soon as we spend it? Then what? Well, I don't know that they will collect it all. And I'm wondering if you're really asking me about confiscation. So, David, is that really the question? Will they come in and confiscate the precious metals? Or as you spend it, it won't go back out into circulation? And I would say that it kind of depends on where you're spending it. If you're spending it with an individual, then more than likely that individual is going to want to hold on to the precious metals, presuming that you are not talking about an overall confiscation. Because I do believe there is really absolutely zero doubt in my mind. But this year, and I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong. This is my opinion based upon what I'm seeing. But I think inflation will be back this year with a vengeance, and it will be faster and higher and harder to control than it was this first time. Because if we're on a risk-on environment, then what's going to happen? And I haven't even unpacked my money guns. We got in really late last night. So that's why you saw me throw it up in the air. Why not? I mean, seriously, why not? But that will generate a lot more inflation. So yeah, if you spend it at a grocery store or something like that, presuming you have the ability to do that, then no, it's not coming back out. And that's really what happened back in the 60s with the $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 bills, right? They didn't demonetize them. In fact, they are still legal currency, but when they were deposited in the bank, they did not come back out again. So that is certainly a possibility, but that's not really, until they do an overt confiscation and people start depositing gold into their banks, that's when I think that won't come back out again. If you're using it for barter, I think that'll continue to circulate. But we'll wait and see. Just make sure you have enough. For example, for me and my daughters, I accumulated enough gold barterable, so the fractional gold and the raw gold, plus the plus silver for 10 years. So you have to make sure that you have enough. And keep in mind that gold and silver in any form is still barterable at its base. But yeah, I don't think that they will. Just keep it. The smart people, if they're getting it in their hands, they're not liquidating it anyway. Reduced Effort asks, would like to comment on how closely related cryptos are to tulip mania in the 1600s in the Netherlands, like every single bubble. And interestingly enough, the laptops were just not working today. But yes, and in the cryptos, it is the mania, right? And how do they keep that going? By printing money. That's how they keep it going. But what happens? Every time they do that, the value of what's already out there declines. And we're already virtually, all right, we're at 3 cents, right? So they make it look like it's a little bit and a little bit, but it's that confidence piece, right? And so what happens right now, yeah, if you've got presidential support and backing of, and also not just presidential support, but throughout the cabinet, et cetera, with the goal of becoming the crypto capital of the world and bringing out more cryptocurrencies, is that really just getting additional adoption for the CBDCs? Is that not just getting you used to it? Yeah, it absolutely. And not just the tulip mania. I see so many bubbles in here. Real estate. How many young people can afford to buy a house today? Between the price, which was pushed up by those very low interest rates where they could expand the price, right? And now the higher interest rates, because the problem that it causes is that the central banks, I mean, they can still drop interest rates, and ultimately inside of a crisis, that's exactly what's going to happen. There's only one way to fight inflation, that's with deflation. Only one way to fight deflation, which is with inflation. And that inflation creates bubbles while it destroys and hides the real trend that is happening, which is the complete loss of purchasing power. Go on the Federal Reserve's website, FRED, F-R-E-D, in the search bar, put purchasing power of consumer dollar and look at that left scale. And what do you see on the bottom? A big fat zero. That's the most honest the Federal Reserve is being, because nobody else is really talking about the dollar going to zero, right? It's real simple, but yes.
Can I ask you a question real quickly
Sure.
about the kind of the bubbles and stuff? So, and I might not be asking this right, so bear with me. I'm sorry. How do you look at a market, let's say the housing market, right, and say you're seeing signs of a bubble rather than just signs of normal price increase / normal inflation rate hikes?
Thank you. It's not the inflation rate hikes.
Sure.
It's the and first of all, you need to understand, number one, that inflation is not a monetary phenomenon. It is a fiat money phenomenon that was built into the system, and controlling it at that 2% level means that you lose 2% of your purchase. And it's not real, but if you did, right, if it was real, it's closer to 10% of your purchasing power. On an annual basis.
Sure.
But you don't, if it's at 2%, you don't change your behavior.
Okay.
So the way that you tell that is, are wages keeping up with inflation?
Right. That's kind of
The fact that very few people can actually buy a house today should tell you that real estate is in a huge bubble.
Right.
And look at the speed at which it's gone up.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Real estate and actually everything has been turned into a trade. So it's not like suddenly these markets are speculative.
Right.
That's what central bankers' job is to hide the truth of what's happening and make things look like they're going up, whether it's the meme stocks or the stock market, the main stock market itself, right? Or the real estate market, or cars, or education, or insurance, or any of that.
Right.
You have to understand that that is by design, so that if an asset that you hold, like your house, right, it goes up, what do? You feel richer. If you feel richer, then you're more than likely to go out and spend more money.
Right.
This is a consumer-driven economy. The money is created from debt.
Right.
And supported by the ability to create more debt. And make absolutely no mistake whatsoever, there is a run that is happening on the dollar right now. The fact that you and I can't see it yet is not relevant
Right.
to what is actually happening, because it started when the system died in 2008.
And I want to talk about that real quickly, if you don't mind. So comparing the bubble of 2008 to the bubble of today, the houses back then, they were affordable, but they were selling too many of them, right? They were they were doing bad loans. Is that kind of what
they were
Am I
pushing
understanding
the
that correctly?
prices up,
Right.
by expanding the market
Right.
of people that could buy homes.
Yes.
And what they were actually doing in 2008 were the derivative market was really kicking off then.
Right. All the bets on the bets on the bets, right?
Right?
Right.
And so in this case, they developed a product called CDOs.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Collateralized.
And that's collateralized debt obligation.
Yep.
And what they did is, you've got this mortgage, and in this mortgage, you have this promise to pay the mortgage. That was removed from that contract,
Yep.
bundled up with a whole bunch of other people's promise to pay that mortgage. That was the collateral.
Right.
That was the collateral.
Right.
And, and because they were allowing people in with stated loans, I mean, I know people that were making $50,000 a year and owned 15 properties, all mortgaged to the hilt.
Right.
Right.
They weren't verifying income. They weren't checking any of that stuff. The due diligence that was really required to make loans that last, right, and real customers, they weren't doing any of that stuff.
Right.
Now today, is it because we're right. Can you explain?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
That's a great question because they have reverted back to doing a lot more tricky loans. But the debt today are the CLOs, collateralized loan obligations, which and it's the same kind of thing. The promise to pay that loan, and there's lots and lots of risk in there, is put together in a pool, a whole bunch of them.
Correct.
And then the theory is that there's only a certain percentage that will default.
Right.
Well, what's happening with defaults right now? Right?
Up and up. Right.
Interest rates higher for longer.
Right.
And this huge wall of debt, those loans that have to roll over, they couldn't afford it at 0%. You think they can afford it at 5% or 10%? No, they can't.
I see.
Right? So all of those those alphabet soups of all of these products.
Yeah.
And actually that's what they're talking about with the tokenization of assets, is their ability to easily take a little from this and a little from that and create all these new exotic products. When you do that, it works until it doesn't.
Right.
It works until it doesn't.
And just to kind of make sure I'm understanding this correctly, when you're saying products, this is other banks buying these loans, these AAA rated packages, right? Because they're now rated higher. Because
not just banks.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. But
we're talking about pension plans.
I see.
We're talking about mutual funds. We're talking about annuities.
Got it.
Right? We're talking about 401ks.
The safe investments too, right? Is what you're saying. Also have these very risky assets.
Of course.
In these massive portfolios.
Of course.
Got it.
Because the theory is that a certain percentage of them would default, and so that's how they're priced.
Correct.
Right?
Right. That part I do know. Right.
And so that's how you take junk and make it AAA rated in the case of CDOs.
Correct.
But understand as well that when they fail, who's left holding the bag?
Yeah.
All the retirees.
Yep.
All of these people that are chasing these bubbles. And that's why I say, critically, it's never been more important to have a diversified portfolio and have a sound money foundation. And we do that here at Zang Enterprises. I know sometimes I get really caught up and people don't know that we sell gold and silver because I'm just so caught up in what we're talking about, because we're really trying to educate the world and protect the people and create a sound money movement, which is like my tippy top priority. However, if you become a client of ours, you're supporting our work and our efforts, and that enables us to do that work and go out there and help build that movement.
Yeah, I'm sorry to take us on a bunny trail, guys, but I just heard what you had said, and I'm like, that really sparks a question. I got to ask.
I appreciate that. And you know what was going to happen too? When we get to do the live with a live audience, and we're not there yet, but we will give you plenty of notice, and we'll have tickets and all of that. Then we're going to have a live audience to do questions, so we can do it this way too.
Absolutely.
But I kind of like it, so don't apologize. I'm sure everybody there are lots of people that had that question, and you asked it. And Amy Harrell asks, how do some of the massive executive orders affect precious metals? Give me a minute to read them. Okay, so I'll go back into it in another video, but I have just been traveling a really long day, and I'm going to be looking and seeing how that does. And GGGG asks, how does Lynette view platinum and palladium, as those are precious metals and have industrial usage? Exactly. They are not monetary metals. And this is a currency life cycle issue. We are transitioning into a new social, economic, and financial system. So my personal focus, I do own platinum, not in coin form, but in jewelry form. There was a time when I did have some platinum coins, but that was a while ago. And so globally, I believe we're going to be in a hyperinflationary depression. And so industrial usage is probably going to be lower on them. I'm just sticking with gold and silver as the primary and secondary currency metals. This has not always been true. It's not always going to be true. Just like my not owning any stocks or bonds or any of these Wall Street products, that has not always been true, and it is likely to not always be true into the future. But the reality is cryptocurrencies have not been tested yet. Gold and silver have been tested for thousands of years. They have only been around since 2009, and I believe they're about to be tested. But there's always a melt up, and we were already in melt up because of all of that money that was printed in 2008 and onward. Every time we hit it, and they had to print more and more and more, and they were getting less and less results other than lots and lots and lots of inflation. So give me a minute on the other executive orders, but yeah, I'm personally, when I'm putting my wealth into precious metals, it's gold and silver. And Meredith Carroll asks, when I originally bought gold, I paid spot price plus a premium amount. When selling gold, do we sell at spot plus a premium to the buyer? Well, it kind of depends on who you bought it from. If who you bought it from was not clear on their buyback policy, I can't answer that. I can tell you at Zang Enterprises, because of how we're established with our wholesalers, that we pay, and it depends on what you do, because there's a different markup on these than there are on these. But typically the payout is higher. However, I can't say that that's true with every dealer. A lot of times they just pay what they're going to pay. And if you call us, if you bought from us, here's how I think you should do it. Honest to goodness, and take my word on this. If you buy something from us, or if you didn't, call us and we'll get you a bid. That's what we would pay you for it. Then go anywhere else you want and see what they're willing to pay. But I could tell you that's only if you're actually not executing a sound money strategy. Because if you're executing a sound money strategy with us, it's all mapped out. And when you go to liquidate, it's to move it into another asset or make sure that you can maintain your standard of living, right? And everything we do is standardized. So it's above spot. But again, it depends on what you're talking about. Call us first, then go wherever you want. But our exit strategy is based on a whole bunch of different options. So it's not just putting you in something. The key is when you get out, and we have that covered. So if we need to if you're looking at, say, a collectible portfolio, and there is a large premium, like it has historically happened when there is a mania, right? When people get crazy and they have FOMO, they do silly things. But if we need to send it to auction, if we need to send it to the wholesalers, whatever we need to do to maximize your benefit, that is all part of the strategy. Because anybody can put you into any gold. That is not rocket science. And let's face it, this isn't necessarily the most professional industry in the world. So you might be talking to somebody that sold shoes last week. They don't understand monetary life cycles. They don't understand those repeatable patterns. We do, because I've studied it since 1987. And quite honestly, and ask yourself, do you know anybody else that studied it since 1987? I'm not saying there aren't other people that know what I know, and a whole lot more, for sure, but I don't know them. And ATM asks, why are so many wholesalers refusing 10 to 100 ounce silver bars? I didn't know they were. Let's mark that down, and I can't imagine why they would refuse 10 to 100 ounce silver bars. To be honest with you, our wholesaler isn't, although I'm not super keen on huge bars because they're not very good for barterability. And we're executing a strategy. Let me find out about that ATM, and we'll get that to Jeff, and we'll get that to our wholesaler, and let's see what's going on with that. And Chris Willis asks, are metals overinflated due to inauguration, or are they as expected? What do you see happening over the next 2 weeks with metals? I think, no, first of all, the metals are not overinflated. Even if they have gone up quickly, they are severely undervalued, because I'm pretty sure, and I haven't even seen what spot is, to be honest with you, but I'm pretty darn sure that it's not above $40,000 an ounce. And I'm pretty sure that spot silver isn't above $2,000 an ounce. It is so critically important that you understand the true value of any asset or instrument, because that, my friend, is the only way for you to understand if something is undervalued, fairly valued, or overvalued. Therefore, do I want to buy it? Do I want to hold it? Do I want to liquidate it? If you're dealing in the tangible world, then it doesn't go away, right? So it's like an infinity sign, like a figure 8. Undervaluation, fair valuation, overvaluation, fair valuation, undervaluation. So it's gone up primarily, I believe, because of the threat of inflation and the threat of tariffs and all of that, which is inflationary. But it's also the money printing that is very inflationary. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the tariff wars now between our neighbors. I was just up in Canada. Everybody was asking me that question. Everybody was asking me. Where did you go in Vancouver? This was for what? A crypto event? No, actually, it's Vancouver Resource
Investors Conference.
Investment Conference.
Yep.
So this is mostly metals miners. We saw a lot of dealers there around copper, and we were at the Fairmont Pacific Rim, and right across the street. So there's a nice tunnel underneath there. I didn't have to go out in the cold that much. In the conference center. And we are doing, I think, don't hold me to it, but we'll have a page set up. It looks like we may indeed be doing the XRP conference again in May, I believe that is, in Las Vegas.
Yep.
But I don't think we've inked it. I think they just asked while we were up there in the weekend. So Jacqueline's got to look at the schedule and see. But no, this was a mining conference. Although, honestly, I'll go and talk to anybody and stand in front of any group. So we're going to be doing that actually a lot more as well into the future. And we will have a whole page on our website. We're redoing everything, but we will have a whole page where you can see where I'm going to be somewhere in this world, and hopefully come and see me. That'll be great. And Patrick Lopez asks, did you ever do a special broadcast discussing how to determine when it's the right time for a reset that could potentially allow someone to pay off their mortgage, when to know it's time, and how to? Yeah, we have. I've done a number of those. So, Adam, can you put some links in maybe and direct them to what happens to real estate?
Yep, we've done gold and real estate a couple different times, and I will definitely put that in there for you, okay?
So the answer is yes, but also keep watching, because I'm going to let you know when I'm doing it. I'm not going to be able to tell you the exact date. However, when it's the right time for a reset, it's really when we are in that hyperinflationary phase and all confidence, the public has lost all confidence in the currency and inside the system, and the government has to lop off zeros, because we're like, a pack of gum could be $12,000, which I know sounds outrageous, but I went to Hungary. I think it was 2009 was when we went, and I've told this story before, but we were going to Hungary, Austria, and the Czech Republic, and I was so busy that I really wasn't thinking that I actually could have done everything with euros. But I just didn't think about it. So I ordered in the currency, the forint from Hungary, and then euros, and then whatever the Czech Republic currency was. And when they came in, I got and when I was looking at the prices in Hungary, it seemed like the inflation was quite a bit. So I had gotten $3,000 in the Czech Republic currency, $3,000 in the euro, and only $2,500 in the forints. And when the bills came in, there was about this much. The wad was about that thick in euros, about that thick in the Czech Republic currency, and about that, literally, that thick in forints. And when I saw that, it was really, really eye-opening. I wish I took a picture of it, but I didn't back then because I wasn't actually doing on air. I was just working with clients then. And when I saw that, I knew that Hungary was experiencing quite a bit of inflation. And there, I remember my daughter wanted a pack of gum, and it was something like 1,200 forints, which, so that happens. And what was also interesting during that period of time, I would ask people, so wow, seems like you're experiencing quite a bit of inflation. And here was their response, was like, no, it's not so bad, not so bad. So people get used to it. It's like the frog in the pot of water. It's just amazing. But don't be fooled by any of it. This is why you really have to have gold and silver. And it's also why, think about what President Trump said. We are now in the golden age of America. Why didn't he say we are now in the crypto age of America or the blue age of America? Why are cryptocurrencies gold, silver, or platinum? Why? You have to think about that. It's because they want you to think that these things are the same. They're not. This has one utility. This is a complete utility. And let's see. And JJ Watt asks, thoughts on the upcoming Bank of Japan rate hike this Friday and its potential impact on the metals? Well, we saw what happened the last time they tried it, so it's going to be real interesting to see if they are ready to give it another go. But when they tried it the last time, you had the yen carry trade unravel, and that was unraveling on a big global basis. So I don't think they're going to raise it very much because they can't afford to have another yen carry trade unravel. And the impact on the metals, it doesn't matter when you're looking at a spot market. It's a trading market. It's not a real market. It does not give you any good price discovery. It's not the stock markets, the derivative markets. That's not what it's about. It's about trading. So you're seeing the impact on inflation. And if there's a crisis, what is the point of metals as a crisis material? What does the Bank for International Settlements tell us? That, let me turn off the sound on this, that gold is the only financial asset, the only one that runs no counterparty risk. But do they tell you what the true fundamental value is? No. But how do you know they understand what the true fundamental value is? They're loading up on it more than they ever have in history because they know that we are in trouble. They absolutely 100% know that the system died back in 2008. And they want to retain their control. They want to retain their choices. They want to retain their freedom. Same reason why you and I should own it. It's real simple. Can I have and Edward, ERAW25 asks, Section 2.10 in the Financial Accounting Manual for Federal Reserve Banks gives the Secretary of Treasury the power to revalue the gold on the balance sheet. Will this get us out of the hole? That's like that overnight revaluation, my friend. So they repay all of that debt and all of that garbage with dollars that have absolutely zero value. And guess what? Every government has a gold revaluation account. Every single one. So what does that tell you? It tells you they're going to use it. That's what it tells you. They're going to use it. Will it get us out of the hole? Sure, because we're going to be starting over from scratch. They're going to get rid of this whole other system into the whole next system. The question for you is, what will you have to transition into the new monetary system, whatever that may be? I mean, if CBDCs are forced, and quite honestly, this is the whole point of having a global sound money movement. Because if we can get just 3% of the global population to buy gold and silver and convert this garbage, or even this garbage that you can't even see, it's not real, it's completely intangible, into gold, into silver, let's have a seat at that table so that the new currency, whatever it might be, has a component, say 40% backed by gold, that is convertible. That means if we don't like, we the public do not like what the central banks and the governments are doing, we have the ability to hold their toes to the fire by pulling the gold out of the system and creating restrictions around what they can do. Because that's really what gold does. It forces responsibility on these entities. And they need to be held accountable for it. And right now, is there any way to do that? No, there is no way for you and I to do that. And even talking about the vote, we have blockchain. Why do we even need those representatives? Why can't we all just place our vote? They never talk about that. No. And Colleen Allen asks, had to evacuate. Oh, wow. Yeah, Colleen, I'm sorry about this. Had to evacuate with California fires. How much cash should one have on hand to take with one in an emergency situation like this? Well, that's got to be done to your level of comfort. But I could tell you for me personally, and it also depends on your circumstances, so I can't really give you a blanket answer. But if you have your barterable portfolio and maybe say 3 months worth of cash or something like that, then you can grab this easily and go. So, you know, you might not need that much if it's just a short, but this is not going to be a short-term emergency.
Yeah, it looks like she also experienced, and thank you for sharing all that with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very, very sorry. But she shared also that, you know, she got stuck kind of in a lockdown situation because they wouldn't let her leave and come back. The area where the burn damage had happened. So she got stuck there for about 5 days with no power or anything.
Oh, my God.
Know.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super frustrating.
It is.
I have some more questions here, but I couldn't get them over quick enough for you. Sorry about that, Lynette.
And anybody that is experiencing this, that's okay. We got it so late, Adam. I appreciate you just being here today, really.
I'm here, I think. Am I? Well, so BJK.
And let me just kind of go back.
Sure.
I mean, Colleen, I want you to also understand that we aren't just talking about a local community, but we can expand that community. Honestly, we can, because nobody should feel alone, and we need to have other people that can help support us when we go through a tragedy like this, or any tragedies that may yet lie ahead of us. And so if you're part of this community, I mean, I think we're all here to support you and help you in any way that we can. You know, let us know what we can do.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next question was from BJK, and says, Lynette, do you think at some point my bank will take gold to pay off my mortgage? Also, someone said they liked your mug. I'm so sorry. I think it was Chris Willis.
Oh,
yeah,
isn't
Chris.
This pretty? This is a local artist. She's actually a teacher at one of the colleges. I can't do the signature because otherwise I would dump out everything that's in there. But thank you. Yes, I love them too. Really nice. Thank you.
The question from BJK was, will banks allow you to pay off, do you think at some point my bank will take gold to pay off my mortgage?
If there is an over confiscation, then what is most likely to happen is that the banks will be tasked with gathering that gold. That goes back to that other question. Once we spend it, is it coming back out into the marketplace? So if we do an over confiscation, the banks will be tasked with accumulating as much gold as they can. So I do believe that there is potentially an opportunity, yes, for the banks to take your gold, to pay off a mortgage. However, if you're doing it with us, when we get that first overnight revaluation, okay, then we will be able to convert it into any currency that is being used, local currency. So if they happen to be US CBDCs, then we're going to convert it into there. And what you're going to do when paying off your mortgage is, look, even though you'll see that spot gold will hang up there, I don't know how long, but globally on average about 9 months, I'm not waiting for that full window. Also understand with that first revaluation, it is not likely to go fully to its fundamental value. That will happen with other iterations, but I'm not waiting for that, right? So when we do that first overnight revaluation, I'll tell you, because the only reason I have a mortgage is so that I can execute this strategy with you. We're going to do it like boom, and you're going to convert it and you're going to pay it off. You're not going to sit on it because you're going to be very clear. Everybody's going to be real clear at that point how quickly this currency is losing its value. So I do think, just to kind of summarize here, that if they do an overt gold confiscation, then it is possible, certainly, that the banks are tasked with gathering in as much gold as possible and therefore would indeed take your gold to pay off that mortgage. Whether they do, whether they don't, that is part of our strategy that we're executing. So if you're working with us on your sound money portfolio, we're gonna let you know. I'm gonna tell you on air like this, even if you're not working with us. But if you're working with us, you will know, because it's all going to be all scheduled out. We have those relationships. It's not just a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It is, this is a relationship for life. That's why we're also trying to future-proof the business, because you're always going to need us. You're going to need our eyes and our ears and our thoughts. So, yep. Chris Willis, I had a question following on the fire conversation. People are selling their silver due to portability in an emergency. Could you comment on that? 100%, right? And it's not just their silver, but remember, gold and silver in any form at all is monetary at its base. And this is not the first time that we've seen it, because a lot of people will have like Mexican silver, sterling silver jewelry, sterling silver flatware, et cetera, et cetera. It's real money and it's portable. You can take it with you. So 100%. We saw that also during the sovereign debt crisis, 2013, 14? That's how people were surviving, was by liquidating their silver. And even my good friend George Gammon, when he went to South America and ran a test with Bitcoin, gold, and silver, for him, silver was the easiest one to trade with in places that were not his community, right? Now, once he was with his community, and Bitcoin, nobody wanted Bitcoin, which I thought was very, very interesting. He did a video on it. You can go and watch it. And the gold, he could liquidate the gold. He could liquidate the silver. Silver was the most easy one. It's also the least expensive in terms of currencies. So the gold helps you carry a lot of wealth in a little pocket. That's why silver for me is barterable. And also, this is really, I do have fractional gold for barterability as well, but this is the one that you take to the grocery store, the gas pumps, etc. And we determine whether you need barterable gold or barterable silver based upon what your current standard of living is and how you're going to use it. And we have it broken out into, okay, this should be barterable gold, this should be barterable silver, et cetera, et cetera. And as far as having limits, that's why it's so important to diversify where you are holding your metals. And your barterable piece and your cash piece should be a grab and go. A grab and go. The collectibles you're not going to need immediately. And also, you know, with the fires, I hate to really say this, I really do. But gold is indestructible. Now, if this is not protected in something that's fireproof, it's going to melt. But it doesn't disappear. It doesn't, its particles do not evaporate into the ethosphere. So it's still monetary at its base. And understanding the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold, you will recoup anything. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. But you want to hold it in a diversified way, and you want to keep that barterable grab and go. This is an emergency. I've got to get out of here. You need the barterability first.
When you were talking about the mortgages and like the the paying off with gold, Andrea Vandekloot, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and thanks for being here again. I recognize the name. You're here all the time, so appreciate
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Absolutely.
I know we're
Absolutely.
off our schedule a little bit too.
Yeah,
we're
off our schedule,
yesterday.
and we're a little off our.
Yeah, we should have done it in the airport.
We should have just done it in
we
the airport.
We had that time to waste.
She asked, didn't you pay off your mortgage? And then put in parentheses, I think you said this about 4 to 5 months ago.
No, I did not pay off my mortgage. I just have a little mortgage. But I will tell you that gold helped me on the down.
Right.
Gold was my down payment.
Right. There you
Right.
go.
Now, I didn't give the bank the gold,
Right.
but I had accumulated the gold and it had appreciated pretty substantially. And there are some more caveats to that, which I can't really say on air.
Sure.
So gold was how I bought my house, but I have a small mortgage on it simply because I want to execute the strategy with everybody else.
Yeah. Bad Pup asks, what digital crypto is the Fed trying to replace with fiat, and what is the future of paper currency?
Well, these are great questions. We are going to find out. It could be the Trump meme coin. I don't know.
Right.
You know, they will, but more than likely, the way they make the transition is to keep it as invisible as possible. So I think we will have a dollar coin. To be honest with you, I think we will have a dollar coin so that people will think, well, this is just the same as this. And in many ways, yeah, it will be the same as this. And what they're going to do with cash is if they, or at least this is what they're saying, if they immediately withdrew cash, people would notice. And especially we're seeing more and more younger people use cash. So what is more likely and what they have discussed is putting a chip in the cash so that whenever you go to use it or you go to deposit it, it will reflect the value of whatever those negative rates in your account, which I have on my list to do a video on what that looks like. But negative cash is about attacking your principal. You've already got all your purchasing power. Now they've got to take your principal. So that's what cash will look like. They're not talking about taking it completely away, but they are talking about putting a chip in it. So if they've done 4% negative rates and you are holding it for a year, then when you go to deposit it or you go to use it, it'll reflect those negative rates. But I will be doing a video very quickly on that because that has been asked, and I think would be a good video.
And Chris Willis, he kind of followed up. You know, we were talking about the fire conversation, people selling their silver and portability. What he was following up was, he said that wasn't it. It was easier to run with 1 ounce of gold than 1 kilogram of silver. So I think what he was saying was, and I might be getting this wrong still, Chris, I apologize, but I think what he was saying was people are selling their silver and
holding
their gold because it was easier to run away from the fire situation with 1 ounce of gold.
Well, because gold
right.
holds a lot more value.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But silver is I'm not going to say it's easier to barter with. I mean, you got to have both. It isn't either or. It's a combination of the two. But yeah, and guess what? You can even hold even more wealth with a collectible coin than you can with just a 1 ounce gold coin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easier to transfer your wealth that way. But yeah, have your position all packed. I mean, if I needed to leave, well, I'm in a little different circumstance because I have to keep most of my stuff in private vaults. But that's where I have it. I could walk there. If, God forbid, something happened, could be a little bit of a challenge, but I do have some silver and gold here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, obviously that's when you're desperate, right? What are you going to do? In this case, in the fires, right? And you're just trying to make sure you maintain some of whatever you have. I mean, some people lost absolutely everything.
I know it, and it's the memories that
that's it. Okay,
stuff
thanks, Chris.
You can replace. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Thanks for following up with that too. And Colleen, she says, thank you to everyone for her prayers and gratitude. Absolutely, yeah, we're so sorry. And
Colleen, anything that we can do to help you.
And this is kind of crazy. I mean, I think we need to kind of say this just to make sure. She seemed more scared of the local government and the National Guard than the fire because of how restricting they were being.
Well, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Absolutely, right? And she's saying, they weren't allowed to use the local waters. It's being tested for toxins. It's like, man, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry to hear that. And I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
This is what the community is about. We gotta know what's happening here. Also, there's a person, Jesus Christ, in the comments. Try to be nice here. Come on, be nice. I'm not gonna kick you out just yet, but be nice, or I will. We got another person asking about what you think about XRP. You talked about it earlier.
Well, look, I don't think that the cryptocurrencies have been tested yet. I don't care whether it's Bitcoin or XRP. I mean, you're looking at what the governments in Wall Street have decided to adopt. So they likely maybe will survive. But I don't know what that test is going to be because until they have the ability to actually be converted into something that has more utility. The wealth transfer is a really important piece, but that's not why I'm doing XRP. I'm doing XRP, and I'll go in front of any group. I don't really care because people need to know the truth. You want to do XRP, you want to do Bitcoin, you want to do the meme stocks, and you do you. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to get upset with you. You got to do what you got to do. I'm just saying that whatever it is that you do, diversify. Make sure that if you're going to do intangible stuff over here, you do tangible stuff in your possession. Because what do we know? We can all say it together. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So that's what I think about cryptocurrencies. That's what I think about. And I don't care which one it is. Whatever the Wall Street and the government has chosen to adopt is likely to be the ones that survive, but the value of them will change dramatically as they do that revaluation of currencies, because that's what you can convert it into.
Here in America, was it in the 30s or was it the 70s that we revalued gold to
both?
Okay. So it was both in the 30s and in the 70s. Can you tell me a little bit about what that looked like in terms of I know it's gonna sound silly, but like the day after gold was revalued, are people running to the dealers and trying to liquidate as much as they can because they now have tell me a little bit about that.
No, because remember, in 33, they took the gold away.
Right.
They didn't do the revaluation until they took the gold away from the public.
I see.
You see?
Oh, so smart.
Right. And actually, when they did that revaluation, it was from $20 an ounce because they had... See, when they first came out with this brilliant system and legalized the Federal Reserve, up to this point, this little 20th, this teeny weeny, I don't know if you can see it there, this little teeny weeny 20th of an ounce of gold. Here it is. That's the size of it, right? Backed a dollar bill. When they legalized the Federal Reserve, then this little 20th of an ounce instead of the backing of to $1,
Yep.
it backed $2.40.
Right.
That's why we see that huge drop off in purchasing power right after the Federal Reserve, and because they printed $2.40 for every 20th of an ounce of gold they held in deep storage. All of that new money created the Roaring 20s.
Got it.
Right?
Yep.
Which is when they started to put us into a consumer-driven economy.
Right.
Right? Happy days are here again.
Yep.
Woohoo! And then they transferred the risk from the industrialists, right, on the stock market, the general public. Now, a lot of them had money. And they wanted to emulate those industrialists because what they do, they saw the stock market going up, 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 creating that bubble. And now all of a sudden the general public had access to credit, which up to that point only the industrialists did. Right?
Right.
So the general, not everybody, obviously, but many in the general public bought into the stock market.
Right.
Just as those industrialists were selling out, transferring that risk. When enough risk had been transferred, then boom, credit dried up, stock market 1929, right? And we were in a depression.
Right.
Now, if you look on the purchasing power chart, it's really interesting to see that the purchasing power went up. It looked like on the graph that
Oh, yeah,
it
we
went
talked
up.
about that in a live, right? And I asked you, has it ever been a time where the purchasing power went up? You're like, yeah, during the freaking depression.
Right. But have you ever
good?
remember exactly
Right,
how good
right.
was that for the public?
Right.
Actually, we saw, and I think I showed you, but I think I've shown it on there. Same thing happened in 2008.
Yes.
Does anybody remember about going to the grocery store and every single time you went, prices were 25, 50 cents higher, right? Was it great for people in 2008?
Right.
Right? So
Yeah, and who really had the purchasing power, right? Like
Those-
at that point, right? Exactly.
the people that had this.
Yep.
Okay, the
Right.
people. And in 1971, I mean, first in the early 60s, President Johnson took the silver out of the system. Then Nixon took the gold out of the system in 71. And they did a revaluation. So in 33, it was $20 to $35. In 71, it was $35 to $42.22, which is where it still sits.
Right.
But to the earlier point, there is a gold revaluation account, and every single government has one.
Got it. Got it. Is silver being, Bad Pup is asking if silver is being purposefully undervalued by Wall Street. Explain how they do that.
That's easy, because when you're looking at spot silver, now they never really refer to it as spot silver or spot gold. They refer to it as silver and gold so that you think that's silver and gold. It's not. It's a contract. And there are no limitations to how many of these contracts that they can create. And as we saw recently, I did that video on the CME coming out with a 1 ounce gold contract. That's about getting the public
That's right. Yep.
to participate in these markets and transfer the risk. But that's how they do that. You buy a contract, you have now created a whole bunch of gold, a whole bunch of silver. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Actually, when I think it was 2009, because the Bank for International Settlements tracks the derivatives in the financial system. The central banks were not heavily into derivatives prior to 2008. Just a little bit for the currencies to manipulate and manage the currencies. But then what also happened during that period of time is, should say subsequent to that period of time, now central banks are all over that stuff. And the derivative market has now infiltrated every single aspect of all of the markets. Those are just contracts. You can create as much gold and silver that does not nor ever will exist that you want to.
Right.
But back in 2009, according to the Bank for International Settlements, for every 1 ounce of this, they created 62,000 ounces of derivative gold. I don't know. You think that might have a little impact on what you see in the markets?
How is that legal? Like, how is it legal for for them to just
They
be
write
like, you
the
know what, I
laws.
have this, it's valued at this, and then as soon as you want it, they can just give you something else, right? Because they're never going to convert it back into the gold. They're just going to give you fiat currency.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll call a force majeure. How is that legal?
How is that freaking legal?
It's in a contract. There are so many things that happen that you can't believe that that's legal, but it is. If you agreed to it, if the government said it's okay, the laws are set up for winners and losers. And unfortunately, as the late George Carlin once says, this is a big club, and you and I ain't in it.
Right.
But we can be in it. We can create our own club. We can come together in global community and take back our power. One person can't do it, but a whole bunch of us can.
E-Raw asked a really good question. So they do this overnight evaluation, right? Gold changes both in the 30s and the 70s. Why didn't they change or revalue silver at all? Like, why didn't that change?
Well, silver kind of straddles both worlds, right? So gold is the primary currency metal. Silver is the secondary currency metal. And even though both of them are used in every single sector of the global economy, silver actually gets used up.
Yep.
Right? Whereas gold is recoverable. So they didn't revalue silver because it's not the primary currency metal. And for those reasons. But gold is. And gold is indestructible.
And in the 30s, silver was still in our money system, right?
Oh, yeah, it was in our
still
system until the
coins
60s.
Until the 60s, correct. So maybe that could play a part in it too. They didn't want to revalue and have their whole entire coinage
It was a lot less
change.
expensive,
Got it.
too,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is $1, and this is $1.
Right. Yep. And then the bill.
Right.
Right. Of course.
Well, and how do they make the change? They let everything in circulation simultaneously, and then they take away the things of value. It's the way they do it.
Gene is asking what your biggest tip or concern is about real estate and VA loans. Will the loan guarantee mean anything in the future?
I don't think a loan guarantee is going to mean anything. You got to read that big, honking, thick contract. The best position to be in is to be able to, boom, pay it off at a moment's notice. That is the absolute best position to be in, because then you don't have to worry about it. Other than you also have to be conscious of property taxes, because this is how local governments generate their income. And what we've seen, even when you have that mortgage paid off, so you actually own the house itself, well, you can't put it on your back and move it. So it's classified as immovable property, and the taxes go up. If you don't pay those taxes, they will take your house away. So those are the two key threats that real estate fits. Also, if you're generating income from them. I mean, there's all parts and parcel of the strategy to sustain your standard of living and to repay this debt with dollars that have no value, which is exactly the same strategy as the government's.
Wolf, hey Wolf. Sorry I didn't see you earlier if you said hi. Sorry about that. What is a tokenized asset is what he's asking. What is a tokenized asset? We just did a video on this,
Yeah,
didn't we?
did we release it
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Okay. So...
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't have a good remember, I didn't have a good title on that one. That one was the one that it did not have a good title, so it probably got a little.
Not have a good
I know it got a
title?
little lost, guys. It's a game we have to play, but it got a little lost. Now I will get that for you, and I'll put a link. Okay.
Okay,
Because it's literally like one of the last videos we just did.
Right, and they can tokenize anything, and it's just turning this into a digital asset, which then can be, with dollars, what is it? It's 1.00. With tokens or cryptocurrencies, there are an unlimited number of digits past that period. Right? So they can take itty bitty pieces and commingle them with other itty bitty pieces and create all these exciting products and trade them all around the world really easily. So it is a tokenized asset if they have their druthers, which I'm not going to make the choice, but A lot of people probably will, because there will probably be some huge incentives or some kind of crisis that you have to agree to tokenize your real estate, for example, turn it into like these coins, into itty bitty pieces. And my goodness, then you can, oh, that's my granddaughter. Her birthday's coming up. Then you can turn that, you can have that, all of that equity on your phone. Now you're going shopping and you see this boat that you decide you want to buy, and hey, you've got so much equity. What's the difference, right? If I spend a little bit of it, before you know it, it's tokenized on your phone. You've traded all of your equity, and somebody anywhere in the world can now own it. So it's converting the equity, the ownership, into an intangible instrument that can be broken down and broken down and broken down into itty bitty bitty bite-sized pieces, and then commingled with others or sold off or used for collateral, used as money, etc. But I just did a video on tokenization, so
absolutely. And you're right. The title, I'm sorry, guys. This one was Intangible Gold Derivatives Explained. That's what that one is. And you start off with
I know,
and you start off with and you start off with explaining what a tokenization and that process kind of looks like. From
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, Paul. Sorry, guys. I took a little bit longer to kick Paul out. I didn't realize it was the same guy. Adam, does Adam need a mic? Adam, that's my name. And I do have a mic. I'm sorry if I'm not talking loud enough. I'm kind of tired. Sorry.
We're both kind of tired,
yeah,
but
yeah. And maybe we'll do.
But we're here for you.
Yeah.
I mean, our commitment to you guys is huge. It's everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really glad to have Adam as part of our team, because he really embodies what we're going for. He's very committed. Maybe he should be committed. Maybe I should be committed. I don't know.
Especially after waking up this morning. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong. It's Shah El Isra. It's a very pretty name. Self-sustaining durable goods, but we can't own a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And farmers need security forces with mass famine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where does silver fit in there?
Well, silver is recognizable money.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, and I'm talking thousands of years, a lot of things have been used as money. Huge lapstones, these ginormous stones, you're not putting them in your pocket, right? But also wheat and cows and all sorts of things. The difference between those and silver or gold is that they have a lifespan, right? So even wheat, food, after a while, it goes bad,
yeah.
Right? Whereas you can hold on to silver and it doesn't go bad. The other thing is it's used in every single sector of the global economy. Therefore, it has the broadest base of utility and the broadest base of buyer. That's why neither gold nor silver has ever gone to zero, and why they've consistently been money over all these thousands of years. And the other part that I want to really point out, and especially since it looks like we are going back to really cranking out fossil fuels and things like that, and certainly with all the data mining and the cryptocurrencies, they use energy, they use water, but they use it up. When gold and silver are mined out of the ground, this is dated 1903. This was pulled out of the ground and turned into a coin in 1903. It's storing its energy for use in all of those different sectors. So a huge difference between gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies is in the way that gold and silver store energy for use in other areas of the economy. Cryptocurrencies use up that energy. It's not stored energy.
Got it. Let's see here. Adam, I'm sorry I'm upsetting you talking. Yeah, we're having a conversation today, so maybe this isn't the live for you. Sorry about that. Looks
Sorry,
like
Adam.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's okay.
What does he want?
Oh, he just wants me to stop talking. But it's yeah. Sorry, bud.
Sometimes I want him to stop talking too.
I'll probably be here next week too. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Yes, yeah, you're not going anywhere.
Let's see here. So then we have.
Yeah, we're kind of a bit sort of goofed up today because of the trip.
Let's just say you had only bullion. I saw this question earlier. I'm sorry. Would you be selling it to buy pre-33 coins?
Look, this is how I feel. You need to establish your goals and your levels of comfort. And then whatever you do needs to support that. Personally, I've been studying currency and currency life cycles and doing this on some level since I was 4 years old. And looking around what's been happening, and not just today, but I'm seeing desperate governments do desperate things, and they are confiscating. I can't sit here and tell you for sure that they will do an overt confiscation. However, what do you think inflation is? It's not a monetary phenomenon. It's a fiat money phenomenon where they are confiscating your work and your wealth. What about the royalties from all of those miners? Look, Barrick Gold just shut down their mines in Mali because the government was taking over and wanted a bigger piece and a bigger piece and a big. Now, they're not saying we're confiscating the gold. They're using, royalties or different words, inflation or taxes or levies or this or that. That's all confiscation. So for me personally, in this country, I know gold has been confiscated 3 times historically. Do I think it won't happen again? No, I don't. I don't think that they're likely to stop at the very, very end and go, oh, yeah, we've taken enough. No. So especially understanding what is the value of holding gold and silver as a real tool of wealth preservation and a tool of barterability. Well, give me the kind, knowing how much the fundamental value of gold is. I don't care if I pay that premium. I'd pay that premium on my health insurance if I could get the same one that the federal government has, but I can't do that, right? So this is your wealth insurance. For me, this is your wealth insurance. Personally, this is the bullion that I own. Not my little bracelet, but that's kind of jewelry and kind of conked up. So I don't own bullion gold. I just don't, because I believe there will be another confiscation. And I had my Uncle Al, and he was very, 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 very real. And I know I was born for this moment in time. Absolutely know that I was born for this moment in time. So that's why I've had all those circumstances and education. And anybody out there that's my age, we've got enough time to look back and go, wow, look at that path that brought us to here. And the comment last time, I think, about that I'm old and what do I know?
Yeah.
I know what I lived through. And somebody else can deny, but you cannot deny my personal experience. I wouldn't want to be any younger than I am. I like to have the body I used to have. That would be nice. The face that I used to have, that would be nice. But I would not give up the experience to have that, because I've lived through a complete regime shift in society, right? I mean, I was a child of the 60s and the 70s. You didn't trust anybody over the age of 30. I didn't really actually connect those dots until we were just in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I was having that conversation with somebody, and I brought up that example, and then I went, well, I knew that I lived through a currency regime shift because we went from at least a quasi-gold-backed currency into a pure debt-based currency. But it really was a full conversion of society as well. We had the hippie movement and we had women's lib. I got pretty darn obnoxious for a few years, I'm going to tell you.
We got 3 more questions. That's what we're going to finish off with
Okay.
today. So the first question is from Alan. He says, what are gold backs that I hear about from Florida? So I did a little bit of just a kind of a search. I'm guessing they're launching a new A new gold back? Is that?
Well, yeah. I mean, each state, if they're 3 new denominations launching with the Florida Goldback series, so each state can actually have their own goldbacks.
Got it.
And I had looked at this for a while, and we will be carrying goldbacks because I do see where they can fit. The graphics are glorious, but embedded inside of the bill is a very thin layer of gold. So like in their, it looks like, is that a half? But there's like one, and it's like 1,000th of an ounce, right? You are paying a big premium for them, even a bigger premium than you are for these, definitely. However, again, understanding the true value of an ounce of gold, I can easily see where they fit into the barterable part, the cash part of your portfolio in a sound money system. And more businesses are accepting them. So I do like gold backs. I mean, I would not build a whole portfolio on it because it doesn't make any sense. But for the barterable part, you've got your cash. For your first line of defense, I can see where gold backs would come into play in that arena, along with your barterable silver and your barterable gold.
Real quickly,
and they're gorgeous.
Shah El Isra said, new subscriber.
Thank
don't know
you.
how we missed you, so really appreciate you. Really appreciate you being on board with us and having us.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much, and help spread the word and build the community. It's important.
Absolutely. We're here to help you. Thomas Garcia, this is actually a really good question. Can a regular person purchase CLOs?
Oh, well, unfortunately, a lot of regular people are purchasing CLOs, whether they realize they are or not.
That was the realization I just had when you said that. I'm like, oh, wait, no, that's my 401k. That's the IRA.
Exactly.
That's all the mutual funds. That's all the...
Exactly. They can
Yes.
put those puppies in there because somebody's got to buy them. And this
buy
is
'em.
about risk transfer. You're not thinking about going out and buying them overtly understanding what they are you? I hope not. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, unfortunately, that's how they're transferring that risk to you, and you don't even realize it.
Right. Yeah. So we are buying them, just not intentionally, and we probably
Not
wouldn't-
knowingly.
Not
Yeah.
knowingly.
Not.
Right.
Yeah. Not
we didn't
knowingly.
know, and that's what happened in 2008. That's
Yeah.
Last question for today. Again, really, really appreciate everyone being here today with us and kind of dealing with my ugly mug and not just Lynette. We're working through it. So
We're working through it.
Last question is from E-Raw. Again, another really good question. Is there usually a large dip in spot price before the reevaluation?
No, because at that point we're in hyperinflation.
Right.
And that kind of changes everything. Where you will see a large dip in the spot price is prior to some kind of crisis, because people see the price fall, right? And then they go, oh, the gold fell. Oh, I don't want to buy it. But that's just a setup. While central banks are buying it hand over fist, they don't care about what the price is. And I got to be honest, I don't care what the price is in terms of this stuff either. I couldn't care less. As long as it is under its fundamental value, rock and roll hoochie coo, buy it all day long. It is on major, major, major sale. And some things are influenced by the spot price, and that will change over time. And it does change depending upon supply and demand. But something like this, which is a bullion coin, is going to be reflective of the spot price down and up, and that premium will change smaller or greater based upon supply and demand. And this pre-33 coin, because it's raw, it's just an ounce of gold, same gold content weight. Also, what I'm saying about the bullion is true for this. But this is an only supply and demand market. It does not straddle both worlds. Now, if you have something that is a larger population, in other words, a lot more known to exist, then it can, and a lot more blemishes, then it may have a level of impact, whatever happens with the spot market. maybe, but these are very high population coins. If you've got a lower population coin, God, we've got the ultra rarities, which those coins can go in the many, many, many millions of dollars for 1 ounce of gold. That, I guarantee you that is not impacted by the spot market out at all. But, neither are more rare coins. So there's gold and then there's gold. And that's why I say define what you are trying to accomplish. Then you build the portfolio. You don't build the portfolio and say, well, this is what I want to accomplish. You define that first, and then anything and everything that you do should support those goals. That's what we're about. That's what we like to help you with. Give us a call at 888. Okay, but at first I like to say GLDZ. See, Adam, you're absolutely right. Stop talking. 833-GLDZANG. Now I will translate it. 833-453-9264. Schedule a conversation with our strategy specialist. Have that conversation. Understand, define those goals. We'll help you if you don't know what they are or you don't know how to do that. We're all about being of service. And until next we meet, make sure that you hit that like button, share this content, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.